The business problem our company, Innobic Enterprises Co., currently face is that it currently relies on Google Sheets for inventory tracking. This method has become highly inadequate as their physical operations expand, especially as they slowly evolve from a small company growing into a bigger company. Currently, their main office and receiving hub are located in Malabon, which still accepts deliveries from a specific supplier. But all actual inventory is stored and managed at their new Bulacan warehouse. They have plans to open even more warehouse locations in the near future. So relying on manual spreadsheets could lead to data inconsistencies as well as blind spots in tracking stock across different sites as well as frequent manual errors. Furthermore, their existing ERP system requires a specific data ERP format that makes importing this scattered Google Sheets inventory information a slow and tedious process. So, to resolve these logistical bottlenecks, the project will develop a customized, scalable, multi-warehouse inventory system. This solution will provide real-time tracking across Malabon Routing Hub, the Bulacan Storage Facility, and any future locations. It will also feature seamless ERP integration through automated data formatting, centralized supplier management for easier procurement, and tailored QRL features to reduce any operation. What are the before and after effects of what may be once this project reaches completion? What will happen to the company once this project is finished? So, before this project, managing inventory was limited to one location, making it nearly impossible to get a clear picture of stock moving between Malabon and Bulacan. The team has also lost valuable time constantly reformatting these spreadsheets to match the company's main system. But after this, the centralized cloud system connects all the warehouses, especially even future warehouses that could be added into the system. The team gets a single real-time view of their stock that multiple users can update at once. These stock could also be viewed per warehouse or all at once. The UI is customized to be highly intuitive, showing employees exactly what they need without the clutter. And lastly, all experts are now automatically pre-formatted for their ERP system. By eliminating manual data entries, the team could focus on their time constraints properly and avoid constant reformatting. Product perspective. About the cloud aspect of this program, traditional old-school warehouse software often requires heavy infrastructure, meaning you'd had to buy expensive on-site servers, hire IT staff to maintain them, and physically install software at every new warehouse you open. But because the system is cloud-based, it provides incredible flexibility. The team gets real-time visibility into their stock from any connected device. We also want to avoid unnecessary complexity. A lot of massive platforms are bloated with features a warehouse staff simply do not need, which leads to confusion and longer training times. Instead, this was intentionally designed strictly as an inventory management system, an IMS. So it focuses entirely on one core job, tracking your stock. It gives a crystal clear multi-warehouse overview, allows supplier management, and alerts low stocks with customized thresholds tailored exactly to its daily operations. It's built for a specific workflow, basically. So our company still uses a main ERP system for the rest of its business. This inventory system is designed to work in harmony with its modern ERP. It prevents disconnections, giving management a full uninterrupted view of the entire distribution process. Next one is the user journey. Now the user journey, it has like 3 different users that could log into. But then first, I'll get to the general things of what every user could do. So the user could just enter the website, input their login credentials. If they don't have any login credentials, they will ask you to create a new account with a valid username that's not yet used, an email that's not yet used, and yeah. And then, after doing all that, the system will display a dashboard tab on default, which has 2 tabs below it which you could check the overview and act tab. The overview is more of statistics about the stocks and the inventory, but in the act tab, the user can schedule a restock or contact suppliers of low stocks. Now, in comes the three different users. The main user, which is like a default for also creating an account, is the auditor. Auditors may view stocks in item list or inventory, as well as suppliers in the suppliers tab, but they cannot change or execute edits based on its account permissions. Um, each account only auditors will have like its account permissions edited. Managers are different. Admins could edit permissions of what the auditor could do. Can it add stocks? Can it do this? Can it do that? Can it remove stocks? Yeah, like it could choose what actions it could do. Now for the manager may also view stocks, but they may also modify stocks automatically. So whoever gets appointed manager, they'll just modify the stocks automatically. Like they don't really need permissions. There's no permissions for manager. Yeah, that's it. Modify stocks as well as the suppliers in the suppliers tab, editing. Now the admin is basically everything. The admin could view the stocks, modify the stocks, and also have access to the admin configuration. This admin configuration has multiple tabs. Now, there's the overview and activity logs tab, which is like an statistics, but more like it's a logging audit log of what's happening around, like who changed what system, who changed what options. And the overview also says how many registered users or admins or maybe managers are there. And the admin config also allows user management. It has a user management tab, which is where the admin could edit the user's roles. Like they could see who are the users logged into the company, be it logged in or logged off the existing users, and they could change the roles, whether it be auditor or manager, and they could change the permissions. The admin config also allows them to import existing inventory data from Google Sheets or Excel, or export inventory in ERP format. And then finally, they may edit the company's appearance, database, and as well as inventory deletion in branding and global settings tab. And then after all that, everyone could just log out and just.
Okay, so now let's move on to the product algorithm. So the first algorithm is trailing average forecasting or the predictive replenishment. So while thresholds, yes, they typically tell you what's happening right now, this system actually looks not just at the current numbers, but this algorithm actually analyzes the velocity of your items in your inventory. So this algorithm actually looks back at your 30 days of transaction history to see exactly how fast you're going through each item. We actually call this a daily burn rate. So while doing math, the system can actually project a stock out date based on their real world consumption patterns. It actually moves your operation from being reactive to proactive by providing a countdown, like this item is out in 4 days. But we actually took it one step further because we know that business owners are busy. So our engine actually integrates directly with Google Calendar. It calculates a safe reorder window and actually automatically schedules a reminder for you 2 days before the predicted run out date. This turns this inventory management system from just, you know, CRUD operations and stuff into something that's more of like an actual assistant that is like giving you forecasts and giving you updates, reminders to always stay ahead of your customer demands. So the second feature is, well, the second algorithm and a feature is actually the natural language processing, which is actually the Assistant found in the dashboard act section. So this is our command center. So we basically wanted to make managing data as easy as talking to a coworker. So when you type a sentence like receive 20 units of this specific item, so most systems would just see a string of letters, but our algorithm is actually trained to listen for that intent. So it scans the sentence by using a natural language pattern. It ignores the conversational filter as well as isolates the target item and the quantity. It basically uses fuzzy matching and SKU resolution. So if you don't know the item code fully, it can actually recognize it. It can deduce exactly what you mean. It's not just the item ID; it's also the name. That's a little bit slightly different. It doesn't have to be perfect, basically. So it's not just logging for an action to be done, but it's a knowledge base. You can ask it questions. Where is this item stored, or show me the latest transaction of this item code, and it would actually pull the answer instantly. It even actually features a safety undo button. So if you actually mistype something, or if the assistant didn't actually write the correct thing, or uh, did the CRUD operation for the correct thing, you just tell the assistant, wait, there's a mistake. And it will actually revert that change for you. So this turns the complex task of navigating menus, the tedious add items function as well as add transactions, into something that's, a little bit easier for you. It just like a simple conversation that makes data management a little bit more human friendly. Then the final feature is actually the threshold monitoring or the threshold evaluation, which is found in the critical replenishment and low stock modules on the dashboard. So think of this as your system's instinct of survival. So in a typical warehouse, you only realize that you're low on stock when someone walks away from the shelf and sees it empty. By then, it's already too late. So in this system, every single time a transaction is logged, whether it's a sale or a shipment or a return, the system actually performs a comparison. So it checks your current stock against your optimal minimum. This is set per item, or you can actually use the global threshold that is set by the user. So this system counts the drops. Even 1 unit below the safety line, the system actually doesn't just put a warning label next to the item. It actually bridges the gap because it immediately identifies the primary supplier for that specific item and prepares the contact details, which ensures that your business will always have the items and it's easily procurable. Okay, so this is the architectural diagram of the product. So there are four layers into this, wherein the external resources layer is something that we actually depend on in order for the program to work, wherein we use external libraries such as the React library, as well as React DOM. We use the Babel compiler for JavaScript. We use Firebase SDK in order for the data flow to be implemented properly. Then we also use TensorFlow and Compromise.js, these external libraries to power a system, and as well as Sheet.js to parse Google Sheets as well as the XLSX files for the import. So all of these goes through the React UI. This is the actual user interface, the framework wherein the program depends on. So from this React UI, this basically acts as the main application or the main holder. So it holds all of the other logics as well as the other files and features. So from React UI, we branch out the table UI. This is the inventory table, supplier table, as well as the two import logs and output logs, which are shipments as well as arrivals. So we also have user settings. This is actually user specific, so all of it is stored based on per user. So we also have the dashboard. This is actually, instead of basic CRUD operations from that table UI, we actually get insights. We get information, statistics, and actual actionable things that we can do. So this includes, for the dashboard, this actually includes both the main dashboard that contains the statistics as well as admin dashboard, wherein admins uh, can modify person or I guess user access, user management, logs, as well as user permissions and all of that managerial stuff, as well as that import and export, as well as branding and other things that you can turn off. So all of these is actually powered by the vanilla CSS, which is the index.css file that we run, that we've created, as well as applied into the React UI, wherein it basically gives it the beauty factor. And then for the user settings as well as stable UI, it relies on the prompt system, wherein the prompt system is actually the window that pops up if you want to edit, add, or at least do actions, wherein it's separate from the actual view itself. So the prompt system actually is the like it's the layer wherein it has it's in the middle of the view as well as the data controller. So now we move on to the layer that's actually controlling the data from the Firebase database all the way to our program, which is the data controller. So the data controller, specifically app data controller, is the most important feature, or I guess the most important uh, JS file that we have actually created, because all of the data flows as well as Firebase authentication actually depends on the data controller. So from Firebase auth, it gets email and password APIs from the external resources down to the data controller, then down to validation and auth, which handles the login. So from data controller, it can also manage data, which is also controlled by user settings. So the data controller actually controls these dynamic and hybrid storage system, which is the Firestore, which is the actual database itself, and local storage. There's actually two parts of the local storage, wherein the first part is the user session, wherein if you close the window, it's gonna and you open it again, it's still gonna keep you logged in. This is stored in the cookies. And then the other one is the cache. So the cache is basically a copy of the most important things in the Firestore. So therefore, you don't have to reload Firestore every single time because Firestorm actually has a limit. There we go. So the data controller is connected to basically the entire layer. So this is the architectural diagram. Okay, so now let's move on to the core features of this product. So first of all is inventory management operations. This basically allows CRUD operations for inventory, transaction logs, and suppliers. But it's just more than that. We actually use a centralized data controller that links all of these together. So this means when a user logs into shipment, the system just doesn't recognize that and just logs a note. It automatically recalculates the inventory totals as well as updates the transaction logs in real time. So whether you're just adding a new product or onboarding a partner supplier, the system ensures that every piece of data is synchronized. It's basically the foundation of the program that produces a single source of truth. Next is admin tools. This configures the system appearance, user permissions, importing and exporting inventory. For system appearance, it includes branding. So wherein the engine basically allows for global customization. So if you upload the custom branding, it's gonna appear everywhere. The admins can just change the company name as well as logo. And then there is also the the import and export inventory system, wherein we actually use an external library in order to implement these features, wherein you can bulk import entire catalogs from Excel or Google Sheets. Wherein it also has this review changes feature, so you can actually upload the old spreadsheet as well as the new spreadsheet with changes, wherein you have a review changes dialog or prompt wherein you can verify if this data is correct. Next is multi-user security or multi-user support with password reset. Well, I also call it multi-user security as well as recovery because this supports parallel multi-user access, which actually allows the entire team to work together without data conflicts. So we basically used an authentication layer in Firebase in order to handle the login safety. And the thing is that we also have a password recovery system. This also utilizes the Firebase authentication APIs as well as the SDKs in order for users to send basically links wherein from the email wherein you can actually change the password yourself. Basically, set a new password, which actually balances the security as well as the convenience. So the next one is the dashboard. This is the dashboard. I call it the dashboard, the command dashboard, the intelligence dashboard, because it's not just a static list of statistics that you can already just figure out, but it actually has all of these algorithms that I've talked earlier about, like indices as well as predictive replenishment, and all of the other uh, modules in the dashboard, wherein it has summaries. It creates summaries. It creates actionable recommendations, as well as integration with Google Calendar, as well as the contact feature, wherein you can actually set a new you can actually access the contact information of the supplier of the specific item that is basically the item that has the least amount of stock with respect to the stock threshold.